All right. We should be live and good to go for another day. We have quite a few things going on today. Quite a few things going on indeed. It appears that the US is sending F-22 fighter jets to Israel amid Iran escalation. This one's coming out of Fox News. We're going to listen to it right now. Got a few things to go over as well. Some more Mexico news. And State of the Union yesterday was a crazy one. Let's get right into this first, though.
After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue, starting it all over. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
Okay, so President Trump doubling down in his address last night that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons as part of any deal with the U.S. This as negotiators from both countries are set to resume their talks tomorrow. Our chief foreign correspondent, Trey Yingst, is live in Tel Aviv with much more on this. Hi, Trey.
Aisha, good morning. Overnight, at least a dozen U.S. F-22 fighter jets landed here in Israel as part of the ongoing military buildup across the region. We know these planes are normally stationed in the United Kingdom, and they have now arrived in Israel. At sea, the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier is making its way to the eastern Mediterranean in preparation for possible conflict with Iran. And while the U.S. prepares for war, President Trump, in his State of the Union address, once again reiterated his preference for peace.
My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
With nuclear talks set to resume tomorrow in Geneva, Switzerland, Iran's foreign minister put out a statement overnight saying in part, quote, "Our fundamental convictions are crystal clear. Iran will under no circumstances ever develop a nuclear weapon. Neither will we Iranians ever forgo our right to harness the dividends of peaceful nuclear technology for our people." And while diplomatic efforts continue, so do the war games in the Persian Gulf, with new Iranian drills being conducted this week.
All units across various capabilities, including missile, artillery, drone, special forces, armored and mechanized forces, have designed very effective measures. These plans have been developed based on existing threats.
These talks tomorrow in Geneva, Switzerland, are seen by some analysts as a last-ditch effort to reach an agreement or enter into a direct conflict. Aisha?
Hey, Trey Yingst live for us out of Tel Aviv. Trey, thank you very much. Bill, a lot of folks came out last night from that Senate briefing feeling like this is an ominous moment.
Yeah, we've been reminding our viewers all week about the state of play here for the geography with Iran. It really has a bullseye on it right now. Whether or not the U.S. takes action, we don't know. But it sure kind of looks like it a little bit when you look at the assets and where the U.S. military is building up. Everything you see here in yellow is a Navy ship. Everything here in red in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Oman. That's a U.S. military base in the Middle East. In addition to that, you've got, well, just in the past 48 hours, there were F-22s flown into Israel as well. So all those aircraft are well within striking distance of Iran. In the water, on the sea, you've got U.S. naval assets. And just look at this. The president calls it Armada.
That's a big fleet. Look, I'm no military specialist, but usually when you prepare that much, you're going to war. You're doing something. If that is the current one-for-one fleet surrounding Iran, they're preparing for something. That's exactly what that is. It's just a matter of time. It could also be, hey, we're gonna put everything out there on the board, scare the shit out of them, and essentially get them to agree with what we want through military force. If not, then we're just going to launch strikes on you, which is exactly what they would do in this situation here. And once again, now that overnight they sent the F-22s from the UK to Israel due to the tension and the escalation of the tension, you can pretty much only imagine what's going to happen.
Gulf and the Arabian Sea and here in the Eastern Mediterranean. So we don't know if it'll happen or not as we'll move back over here to Aisha. And you were talking about this meeting that Secretary of State Marco Rubio had yesterday with the Gang of Eight.
Okay, so we also have this one here.
President Trump addressing rising tension with Iran last night ahead of tomorrow's high-stakes talks in Geneva.
He also spoke to lawmakers about his...
So that would be tomorrow. I thought this was old, so I thought tomorrow was today, but no. I'll have to double check that, actually. I don't know when this Geneva meeting is.
Ongoing push for peace in Ukraine. Stephanie Bennett joins us now from London with all the details. Hi, Stephanie.
Good morning. Yeah, President Donald Trump says he wants to resolve this standoff with Iran through diplomacy, but also emphasized that he will never let them have a nuclear weapon.
My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen. And no nation should ever doubt America's resolve. We have the most powerful military.
Now, the president said he could take military action if no deal is reached over Iran's nuclear program. The U.S. is increasing its military presence around the region, and the U.S. State Department ordered all non-essential staff to leave its embassy in Beirut. While Iran has warned it will retaliate if attacked, with U.S. bases in the region seen as potential targets. Meanwhile, anti-government protests in Tehran continued for the 4th day. Both sides will hold talks in Geneva tomorrow.
After midnight hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again. And are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
The president also mentioned the war in Ukraine, which marked 4 years since Russia's invasion yesterday. President Trump told lawmakers they're working to resolve the war, fighting for peace wherever he can. Now, reports suggest President Trump wants to reach a peace deal by the 4th of July. We have heard from the Kremlin, who said they'll keep fighting until its goals are achieved. Todd, Carly?
Stephanie Bennett live for us in London. Stephanie, thank you. Let's bring in senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum and member of the council.
Okay, so we have all of that going on. We also have this here. We have footage of NYPD being assaulted by a pretty large mob. This video 4 hours ago. This happened, I believe, yesterday. Or pretty recent.
Of helping our city respond to this blizzard. They and our entire city workforce deserve to be treated with respect. From the videos that I've seen, it looks like a snowball fight.
And then the Police Benevolent Association said this was not just a snowball fight. This was assault by adults throwing chunks of ice and rocks that landed 2 police officers, Joe, in the hospital with head and face injuries.
Yeah, these weren't kids. These were grown adults throwing these snowballs, as you said, putting 2 in the hospital. You would think the NYPD would have a mayor that has their back, that would say whoever did this will be found and will be arrested. Do not treat our law enforcement this way in any way, shape, or form. He would show some anger. He would show some passion. Instead, he dismisses it as a snowball fight. New York is so screwed. I'm sorry. We're only 8 weeks in, and we're already seeing what Zohran Mamdani is doing in New York City and what he thinks about law enforcement. If I was an NYPD officer right now, I would be so angry right now that this guy does not have my back.
If I was NYPD, I'd be looking for a transfer out, to be honest with you. If this is what Mamdani wants, then let him have it. Let his city fall apart. Like, honestly, he doesn't have your back. He's not going to fund you. He's not going to go out of his way to protect you. You're up to your own will at that point. It's pretty wild stuff. And like, look, you could say, oh, it's just harmless snow. It's not though. These are NYPD. They're trying to do a job. They're out there for a reason. You just don't do this. This is not something you do. I don't know if anything's going to come from it. Probably not, because once again, it's Ma'am Donnie's New York. But yeah, you don't do those things. That's for sure. Moving on, we have crazy stuff in Mexico. Tourists caught in crossfire as Mexican cartel takes over vehicles and sets them on fire. Let's take a look here.
To another Fox News alert, some Americans are still stranded in...
Everything is a Fox News alert on this fucking channel, I swear to God. Every time they have something to say, it's an alert.
Mexico this morning after the notorious cartel leader was killed, sparking violent street clashes near luxury beach resorts.
Steve Harrigan joins us now from Puerto Vallarta, speaking to some tourists who are stuck there still, Steve, right?
Brian, amazing scenes at the airport. A lot of American tourists down here for a vacation. Suddenly they got caught in a crossfire with really nowhere to go. A lot of the vehicles that were supposed to take them around were actually taken over by cartel members in a fight that left more than 70 dead. These vehicles set on fire, so a lot of tourists out there stranded, hoping for a police escort back to their resorts. Here's a couple that we spoke to trying to get out yesterday.
Some people, after they got dropped off, then their van was taken.
They were stuck at the golf course.
The driver was removed from the van, and they took the van away to burn.
Really?
Yeah.
You really get the sense that these people were terrorized. They were been through so much. For Mexico, initially, it is a great victory. They captured and killed the most notorious drug lord in the world. They did so after pressure to take action from President Trump and also with help from U.S. intelligence in finding him. But in the short term, tourism here is just going to be crushed. A lot of people we spoke to at the airport said, we are never coming back here again. Guys, back to you.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kill.
I honestly don't know why you would go there now. If you were already there and this started to happen, that's obviously one thing. But if you are planning to go there and you're still going to go there based on everything that's happened, I don't have much to say. That's like the Darwin Award right there. All right, moving on. Moose on the loose. Actually, we'll do this one first. Rebel News. They're getting busy. Rebel News is getting busy. Let's see what's going on here.
Do you think it's true that nobody is illegal on stolen land?
Are you here for a little provocation?
I just don't want to answer that.
Oh, okay. Oh, is it that white liberal woman with the Kewpie flag? Hi, ma'am. Why are you telling this person not to speak to us?
I don't consent to being on your goddamn show.
I'm just asking questions, sir.
You are not pro-immigrant.
I remember a time when unions stood up for the workers instead of lowering living standards in the country. What happened?
Was anyone ever guaranteed permanent residency here?
David Menzies for Rebel News here in beautiful Brampton, Ontario. And folks, what you see behind me is a demonstration, such as it is. It has been organized by the Najawan Support Network, Kewpie Ontario, and the Migrant Workers Alliance. And they have come together to form something called the United Immigrant Workers Front.
We created this organization because 2 million work permits are about to expire. Anti-immigrant sentiment is on the rise in Canada, and we feel that if you're an immigrant, you contribute to the economy, you contribute to the society, and you should have a path to permanent residency, and folks' work permits should be extended.
This is, I guess, a continuation of other demonstrations we have seen in the city of Brampton over the last couple of years. You might recall there was a little tent city that was set up with foreign temporary workers and international students about 2 years ago. And basically the situation was it was time for them to go home, but they don't want to go. They want to stay. When you looked at their signage, they were basically saying, we want to become Canadian, as they denounce Canada. What do I mean by that? Well, how about this? There was a sign we spotted that said, "Nobody is illegal on stolen land." Well, if that's the case, what are they doing here? Another sign stated, "Stop hate and racism," implying that Canadians are hateful racists.
No one is illegal on this stolen land. No one is illegal on this stolen land. No one is illegal on this stolen land. No one is illegal on this stolen land.
Good golly, who would want to live in a country based on stolen land and populated with hateful racists? But I guess it beats the alternative, going back to India. Well, the encampments did go away, folks, but as you can...
Oh, it's wild how that works, right? Everybody here is hateful and racist, but they want to come over in waves.
See, some of the people who were campaigning against a dominion of stolen land populated by hateful racists, they're still here for some reason. Now, what is absolutely uncanny, you can see their flags. The Canadian Union of Public Employees, they are aiding and abetting foreigners to stay here in Canada and ultimately become Canadian citizens.
My name is Catherine. I'm a member of CUPE Ontario.
Why would a union want millions of migrants to come into a country? Why would a union want the living standards of that country to erode? It used to be unions stood up for the domestic rank and file. And my only guess is that the union brain trust of public sector unions, especially like CUPE, have become so leftist and so woke, they actually believe nonsense like nobody is illegal on stolen land. They're more about the identity politics file than fighting for good wages and good jobs for born and bred Canadians. It is absolutely outstanding in a bad way. And now I'm just taking inventory. I would say there's about 36 people here. It seems evenly divided between migrants, I'm assuming mostly from India, and that certain demographic known as white liberal woman. We're going to wade in, see if they can articulate their side of the story, try to make the case why it is that anyone coming to Canada, even those passing through, suddenly they have a right to become permanent residents and then Canadians. Was that ever part of the deal? I don't think so, but let's see what they have to say. Hello, sir. What brings you out to this demonstration today?
That's what we are looking for.
Oh, you're looking for what? Sorry?
I'm not the organizer. I'm just here to know like what things are going on.
Oh, you're just passing through. I see. Okay, then. Okay. Oh, who are these guys, ma'am?
We are not talking to so-called rebel media, and nobody is talking to so-called True North. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
But isn't that the purpose of a demonstration, ma'am, to articulate your point? How about yourself, ma'am? You're with CUPE, I take it?
Anybody wants a poncho?
I remember a time when unions stood up for the workers instead of lowering living standards in the country. What happened? How about yourself, sir? What brings you out here? You don't know?
Huh?
You don't know why you're here? No? Just passing through, maybe?
I'm good, man.
Okay, then. How about yourself, ma'am? Which school did you go to?
Better than yourself.
What's it called? I couldn't hear your accent. Well, I guess I'm interviewing a backpack right now. How about yourself, sir? What are you trained in? Is it true that nobody is illegal on stolen land? Are you thinking this through, or?
Good enough
No.
Good enough to stay. Good enough to work.
Good enough to stay.
What does that mean?
Good enough to stay.
Isn't that interesting, folks? They're chanting good enough. Hey, sir, how you doing?
Good enough to stay.
They're chanting good enough
Good
to
enough
work,
to stay.
good enough to stay. But was that the deal Don't stand in front of me. Like, hey, sir, what brings you out here today? Do you think it's true that nobody is illegal on stolen land? I thought you didn't want to talk to me, so why are you walking into me, sir?
It's cult-like behavior. It's really weird. They're a bunch of fucking weirdos.
I think the scarf tells you all you need to know. Oh, peace, man. Are you still thinking of my question? Is it true that nobody is illegal on stolen land? Do you have a job, sir? I'm just curious. I mean, it's Friday during a work hour period. Still thinking. Okay, then. Folks, this is the poster boy for don't put your children into gender studies classrooms, okay? There are no opportunities for you. This is your job, going to demonstrations. Hey guys, what do you think? Is it true that nobody is illegal on stolen land, sir?
No comment.
Okay, because a lot of these people were displaying signs like that when they had the encampment. How about yourself, sir?
You think no one's illegal?
No. What brings you out here today, sir?
I'm here for the support of international workers and students.
Okay, then. What makes you think that international temporary foreign workers have the right to stay in Canada and become Canadians?
They have contributed to the economy really well. They have supported the economy during the time of COVID.
Okay.
They were the frontline workers, and they at least should get a chance to get a PR pathway.
Sir, what does that sign mean? End Canada's racist immigration and refugee policy.
A little provocation.
Pardon me?
Are you here for a little provocation?
No, I'm just asking questions.
Means we don't want to talk to you.
Oh, who would you be, ma'am? I can't tell. Is that some kind of a communist flag or something, or? No.
What is it about no you don't understand?
Oh, I see. No means no. When you are a temporary foreign worker, the word temporary, that is the opposite of permanent. It wasn't the understanding you would always go back to, I presume in your case, India?
Sorry, I'm not allowed to speak.
You're not allowed? Oh, who would tell you that?
I just don't want to answer that.
Oh, okay. Oh, is it that white liberal woman with the Kewpie flag? Hi, ma'am. Why are you telling this person not to speak to us? No.
It's always the white liberal telling the immigrants what to do. It's very typical.
Ma'am, isn't it true that unions used to stand up to getting a fair wage for Canadians, and now you're a public sector union and you want foreigners to come into the country? Why is that?
I think it runs counter to the objective of what the union should be representing, which is Canadian workers. And this situation is obviously unfortunate. It has resulted in temporary workers being undercut, having wages treated badly. I get that, but at the same time, this whole program has resulted in Canadian workers not being able to find entry-level jobs. And so, is that not the objective of the union, to defend Canadian workers?
What is it about a demonstration you do not understand? Isn't the idea to get your point across? Okay, you don't want to talk. I think the number of white liberal women and people like this, he might identify as a woman too, who knows these days, but they might indeed outnumber the international workers and students. What does that tell you? So, sir, if Canada...
I said I do not want to talk. End of sentence.
Well, I'm just going to ask questions, but if Canada is racist, why would you want to be here?
He said he doesn't want to talk.
Do you believe that...
I don't consent to being on your goddamn show.
I don't need your consent.
You do need my consent if you're going to air it.
No, I don't, sir. Check out the law of the land.
Don't consent. You don't get to hurt.
And the occupation, Free Palestine. Is this a Free Palestine rally too?
It's funny. They don't want to be on camera. They don't want anything to do with it, but they continue to walk directly into the camera, directly towards the guy with the microphone. if you don't want to talk to the guy, then walk away. It's public property.
Hi, sir. What does that mean, defend the rights of all?
We don't have to say anything. It's fine. They can read. They can learn from their own.
Does anyone have the right to become a Canadian citizen? By the way, folks, I should note that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Peel Regional Police cruisers. I don't know if they're expecting trouble or not, but I heard from another observer there were some liaison officers that came to them and said that they are technically on private property. So
oh yeah, I guess it technically is private property. They're in a parking lot. Okay, I thought they were on like a sidewalk beside the parking lot, but yeah, they are on private property looking at it now.
So I guess if things get out of hand was the implication, they can be asked to leave or they'll be trespassed. What brings
the fact that they need that many cruisers to watch over this small of a gathering, like that's just a waste of police resources. They could be doing anything else. They have 4 cruisers watching like 10 people.
Out to this demonstration. Are you a Canadian citizen, sir? Where did you go to school? What brings you out to this demonstration? What is the woman with the face diaper saying to you, sir?
Which? We don't need
Oh,
to say anything
it's
to that,
Rebel
my
News.
friend. Yeah, we don't need to say anything to that.
Oh, why is that?
Let's see.
Yeah, Rebel News, sir. Yeah. No.
I'm
No?
not interested to talk to you.
Are you a Canadian citizen, sir?
Yes, I'm Canadian
okay,
citizen.
then. Did you come here legally?
We don't have to
Yes,
say anything.
legally.
Okay. Why is this woman with the face diaper trying to interfere with our discussion?
We don't have to say anything.
Do you believe that nobody is illegal on stolen?
Yeah, once again, it's always the white liberal telling the immigrants what to do. It's just funny how that works.
Land,
We
sir.
don't have to say anything to that.
No.
You are not helping.
I'm just asking questions, sir.
You are not pro-immigrant. I know that.
Well, why would you say that?
Yeah, because I know that.
No. Well, my grandparents were immigrants to this country. How could I not be pro-immigrant? Well, here's another sign, folks. This one's interesting. Blame bosses, not immigrants. Smash racism. And that's from, socialist.ca. It's the communist demographic. Why would you blame bosses? Aren't the bosses hiring these people? And I wonder what the skill set of these people are. One of the reasons I've been trying to ask what school they go to, is it a genuine university or is it one of these so-called diploma mills? Do you know in this city, folks, there is something like more than 90 diploma mills. These are just so-called storefront colleges. Usually there's nobody there. They're just churning out diplomas. Even if the students don't attend, it's part of an ongoing scam just for people to immigrate to Canada. It's funny, a gentleman said I'm anti-immigration, but no, I'm not. Of course I'm not. But you've got to qualify to get here. You've got to go through the proper channels.
No, we are not allowing you. You guys can leave.
You're not going to allow us? So what are you going to do to it? What are you going to do?
We'll complain to the police.
While Vikram Singh studied here to become a mechanic, his postgraduate work permit expired earlier this year. Now he's not allowed to work at all.
Is it true that nobody's illegal on stolen land? I think that was a quote attributed to you at one point. Are you thinking about the question, sir? Excuse me, don't get in my way.
Elbow people. You're recording yourself hitting people?
Pardon me?
You just stepped on me.
Why are you getting in front of me? You're walking in front of me.
Why are you bumping into me?
It's the guy bumping into me. What's your job, sir? Are you a Canadian citizen? Hey. I'm sure the media that they're giving interviews to
I'm not sure
are
if
sympathetic.
In English. That's the other part too. Is that
I
don't think what is being permitted here is being conducted in English, and so we seem to be the only other media here. You would think they'd want to get their message across.
And Harrison, that is exactly my point. Isn't that the very rationale for having a demonstration, bringing flags and signs, but they can't seem to articulate their point, so you have to wonder, do they have a point to begin with?
Well, I just want to know if they agree with the Liberal immigration minister who says temporary means temporary.
We'll continue to do that to make sure that the people that are here temporarily are properly welcomed here, but the welcome to Canada obviously is not boundless, and we have to make sure that it makes sense in the current economy.
Are you a temporary foreign worker?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. International student, maybe? No? Okay, then. How about yourself, man? What brings you out to this?
I'm all right, too.
Okay, then. Just passing through?
I'm really interested in the hat. The hat's really
Yes, yes, you made that point. Thank you.
No, it's a really cool hat.
Yeah. How about yourself, man? What school did you go to?
I don't want to.
No. What skill set do you have?
I'm not interested in talking to my guy.
Okay, then.
I'm just smoking my cigarette. Leave me alone.
Hey, get your mic out of my face. Get out of my face. Oh, don't touch me. Well, folks, we tried to get...
Not only do they not have any answers, they are aggressive. They are aggressive when you just ask basic questions. Kind of weird how that works too. Alright, Moose on the Loose video. And then we have, hopefully, question period very soon.
The need in particular for military assistance to enable the defense of Ukraine. If you could, how fast would you be receiving this aid?
I've got something to share with you here today. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we're going to be going over why I think Mark Carney keeps sending so much money to Ukraine when so many Canadians are starving, homeless in the very freezing, frigid Canadian winter. And would you believe this all comes down to Brookfield? Let's jump into this. We're going to start this episode off right here at Chrystia Freeland. If we look at the events of the past 6 months and what has gone on here, Chrystia Freeland announced she would be a special advisor to Ukraine, still staying in the Canadian government. And eventually, what did she do? She full-on resigned and became an economic advisor to Ukraine. Now, this is interesting because Mark Carney is the godfather to one of Chrystia Freeland's sons, at least one of them, maybe two of them. She openly admitted this during a press conference. Just keep this fact in your mind as I go through this video. We're not going to mention Chrystia Freeland again, but it's very curious that Mark Carney has someone he very much trusts, that he's known for a long time, going over to Ukraine and, well, handling the money that's going on over there, or at the very least giving economic advice to Zelensky. Now, if we think about Brookfield's involvement in Ukraine, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, the rebuild of Ukraine. When this conflict is finally over, who's going to build it? Well, we already have this from this report here, coming from BFG Wealth Management, the Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Agreement, a new model for rebuilding and strategic partnership. And of these companies in here, which I've already broken down onto the Moose chart, we've got BlackRock, JP Morgan, Brookfield themselves, Citigroup, ArcelorMittal, Aon PLC, Vesta Wind System, Honeywell International, and General Electric. Now, as I have on the Moose chart here, Mark Carney's invested in almost all of these aside from two of them, so he'll be profiting off the rebuild of Ukraine. But I started doing some more digging, and I started putting some pieces together, and I found the missing puzzle piece to this whole fiasco that just makes so much sense. It is unbelievable. So follow me here as I walk you through this.
Canada continues to stand with Ukraine in the short and the long term. This morning, I announced $20 million in support for Ukraine's energy infrastructure. In addition, this brings our total investments for Ukraine and supports to $25.5 billion. Mr. Speaker, Canada stands with Ukraine and makes sure that we are there with our allies so Ukraine can fight and win this war. Slava Ukraini.
There's something else here, another piece of information which explains the entire thing. It's like the missing puzzle piece that explains why Carney keeps giving our money to Ukraine, why Trudeau was doing it. Carney was his economic advisor for 5 years beforehand, so you can bet that Justin Trudeau was probably invested in a lot of, if not the same sort of stuff that Mark Carney was, at least Brookfield, and well, that's what we're talking about here. So we've got Westinghouse Nuclear Services, Brookfield plus Cameco joint deal. This was a deal that Brookfield in late 2023 and uranium producer Cameco partnered to acquire Westinghouse Electric Company. Brookfield secured 51% of the controlling stake, meaning they have control of the company. You can see Cameco here has 49.9%. Now, the kicker here is they have massive amounts of contracts in none other than Ukraine. Of course they do. They're protecting their investments and using our tax dollars to do it. They don't want Russia to go in there and take over all those investments and just claim those nuclear power plants. They would lose their investments. There's billions of dollars on the table here. Uranium supply contract with Cameco, 12-year contract. We're talking $4 billion, at least. They'll provide 100% of the natural uranium required for Ukraine's 9 active reactors. On top of that, you've got the AP100 reactor equipment from Westinghouse. According to Ukrainian government procurement records, the contract for physical reactor equipment is just one new AP100 unit, which is exactly $437.5 million US dollars. Westinghouse and Energerotom have signed agreements to build 9 of these AP100 reactors in total, which is roughly $5 billion. We've got exclusive nuclear fuel supply from Westinghouse. In June 2022, Westinghouse signed an expanded agreement to supply 100% of the nuclear fuel assemblies. And I'm trying to fix saying that word. I know I say nuclear sometimes versus nuclear. A lifelong habit I'm trying to fix. 100% of the nuclear fuel assemblies for Ukraine's active fleet. As we see here, Camco to supply 100% of the fuel requirements. This is big business. Brookfield has cornered the market on essentially 50% of Ukraine's electricity through nuclear power. There's huge money here. No wonder that Carney's using our money to protect his investments over there.
We are in it for the long term. So Canada stands with Ukraine. The Coalition of the Willing stands with Ukraine. We're in it for the long haul. Russia is failing. The sooner they come to the table and actually participate in peace negotiations, the better it will be.
Prime Minister Mark Carney there reaffirming Canada's support for Ukraine on the 4-year anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of the country. The feds here announcing a 3-year extension of Operation Unifier, where Canadian forces are among those training Ukrainian soldiers. Canada will also donate 400 armored vehicles to Ukraine and will impose new sanctions on 100 vessels from Russia's Shadow Fleet, which are used to bypass Western sanctions on Russian oil.
Carney and the Liberals are basically using our money in any which way to help their investments globally. And on top of all of this here, this company here, Westinghouse Nuclear Services, is one of Mark Carney's Brookfield Global Transition Fund 1 projects. It's also number 23 on his conflicts of interest, as in it's a part of this group here, as I have it on the top, and being one of the first investments that Brookfield acquired in this fund. The success of this project, along with these other ones in this fund, directly determines how much money Mark Carney makes on his 3% carried interest when this fund fully matures and completes in a handful of years here after its 10-year or its 12-year run. Using our money for Ukraine is protecting his profits coming from this fund. You can't make this stuff up. This should be highly against the law. Unfortunately, Canada's in short supply of heroes. Where's Batman when you need him? I have a feeling the RCMP aren't going to do anything about this. And I've got other supporting evidence on here why Brookfield Transition embraced $7.9 billion nuclear services deal. It says here Brookfield Asset Management has made the first major investment in nuclear power sector by Energy Transition Fund, which is the one I just mentioned. $15 billion fund here. It mentions that. It says Ukraine signed an agreement with Westinghouse to supply fuel for all its nuclear power stations, ending a dependence on Russian supply chain. So Russia used to supply the uranium. Now it's coming from Brookfield. And this one over here, you can see Ukraine extends vital nuclear fuel deal with Westinghouse. There's big money here. You can see Brookfield business partners acquired Westinghouse for $4.6 billion, and now they've lined up all these contracts, and it's set to make them a ton of money. And then what got in the way? Well, Russia. This is a real monkey wrench that was thrown into their plans here, because you can see this deal was from 2018. So I believe what happened here is Toshiba used to own Westinghouse, and probably after the Fukushima thing, the value started to go down. I'm not exactly sure about that, but they went into bankruptcy. Brookfield bought it in 2018, cleared out the company, stripped it down, doubled the profits, and then sold 49% into the consortium, the Brookfield Global Transition Fund, technically going into Brookfield Renewables, and then maintaining 51% share in Brookfield Renewables, 49% going to Cameco. And so essentially, they took this asset that was worth not very much, double the profits, sold it off, and then now they're jacking up the value of it through the Brookfield Global Transition Fund, which Mark Carney gets 3% of that total profits from. And this was back in 2018 when they got that asset. They started building it up, and then the conflict broke out with Russia and Ukraine. So if they're not able to pump this up and then probably eventually dump this asset and sell it, then they're going to take a huge loss on this. So it essentially looks like Mark Carney's just using our country to help prop this up, increase the value, and make the sale. And it appears the entire backbone of all of this is Ukraine.
I just finished interviewing the Ukrainian ambassador who made a point of saying that timeliness was of the essence, that there are literally lives at stake with each passing day. Do you have even a broad time frame for delivery of these vehicles?
He's right that timeliness is a big factor. That's why we've already made the decision to start shipping, for example, a number of AIM missiles. I met with the Minister of Defense of Ukraine just a week or 10 days ago in Brussels for about an hour and a half to get a real sense of the materiel, as it's called, that they need more desperately. So we're focusing in on the material that we've got that we can actually remove from our stockpile and distribute it and send over there on an urgent basis. And as you know, we've already purchased a certain amount of material from the United States through the list, the shopping list, so to speak, that the Ukrainians provide to the Americans that we purchase in terms of what's already available. And that's already been shipped over.
Now, if you think that's where the story ends, there's more. Let's go down memory lane of the Liberals through Justin Trudeau and now Mark Carney giving our money, aid, military support to Ukraine, and how much. Just yesterday, Carney pledged another $2 billion to Ukraine and sanctions for Russia's shadow fleet as the conflict here goes into the 5th year. So another $2 billion. As you see, 400 armored vehicles. There's a reason why he's sending armored vehicles right now, which we'll get to in a second, as well as other financial aid. We've got this one here. This is back from December 27th, 2025, just a couple months ago. Another $2.5 billion commitment to Ukraine. And going even further back, we've got this one from August 24th, 2025. So going back like 8 months ago, another $2 billion. This was in June. Canada committing $2 billion in military assistance for Ukraine. It says here $835 million critical equipment, armored vehicles, medical equipment, yada yada. It's all this stuff to fight back against the Russians. And it says down here, since the start of this invasion in February of 2022, Canada has committed nearly $22 billion. If you add in the $2 billion, because this is an old report, the $2 billion yesterday and the other $2.5 billion, we're well over $26 billion now. Now, when Justin Trudeau was in power, he was in there from 2022 to 2025. And since then, Mark Carney's not slowed down with the spending. If anything, he's increased the spending in recent times. And why would that be? Now, we already know that Brookfield has investments there, but it's actually more dire than you think. As we see here, this is an old article, but it's from 2021. Ukraine, Westinghouse, and Energotman signed contract to fuel assembly documentation. So this one here says Westinghouse and this E company, I can't say this word, signed a contract in September 2020 for supplying the VVER-44 nuclear fuel. So this is important to remember this number here. And it also talks about fueling 2 VVER-1000 pressurized water reactor units in commercial operation. It goes on to say the company said the first experimental batch of the new fuel assemblies, up to 12 pieces, is planned to be loaded into the core of the Rovno 2 in 2024, with total supply under contract with Westinghouse provides at least 1,056 fuel assemblies, E company said. And Westinghouse has also supplied fuel for the VVER-1000 PWR designs, as well as 6 plants in Ukraine. They're in the south, Ukraine 2, 3, and Zaporizhzhia 1, 3, 4, and 5. Now, what are all these numbers? These are locations of the different facilities, and then these other ones here are the type of reactors, the VV440 and the 1000. Now, to put this on the map, we can see right here VV1000 and VV440. So in the top left, we have these teal ones, which are the VV440, and then they have these purpley ones, which are the VV1000. And as it just mentioned in that article, the ones in the south, well, that's down here in this Zaporizhzhia. So basically, Brookfield is supplying fuel to, I think, almost all of these, but it specifically names the ones down here. It goes on to say, in January 2018, Westinghouse extended the agreement with Ukraine, pledging nuclear fuel deliveries to 7 of Ukraine's 15 nuclear units between 2021 and 2025, expanding the contract for 6 reactors that was set to expire in 2020. So they set up this whole business before the world event happened. And then Putin rolls in with the tanks and messes all of this up, putting all of their investment at risk. So the only way for this to not go bust here is, well, sending billions of dollars, in this case, about $26 billion of Canadian taxpayer money over to Ukraine. Now, America's been sending over tons as well. But don't worry, there's more. Says Westinghouse manufactures fuel assemblies of the TVSWR design to use the VV1000 PWRs in its fuel fabrication facility in Sweden. The same factory will be used for manufacturing the 440 fuel assemblies. Now, back to this website, we can see a full list of them here, and here's all the names of them on the sides. It's hard to read here, but as it mentioned before, like South Ukraine 1, 2, 4, 5, etc. These are all the reactors, which are the ones on the map here. Now, what's most interesting about all of this is the next thing we have here. It's this. This is the active map of the Ukraine-Russia conflict and where the advances are in taking over land and losing it, etc. We can see the outline of Ukraine. If we look at this map, this is the boundary of Ukraine here. Now, if you look on this map, you can see this is the boundary here, if you can follow my cursor, that goes all the way around. Now, first looking at this blue section up here, all this area, all the way around here, you can see in the legend, it says claimed Ukrainian counteroffenses. So it looks like Ukraine's got most of this land back, or at least it's holding it temporarily. But in the south here, we're seeing Russia has conquered all this land, which has assessed Russian advances in Ukraine. And we've got assessed Russian gains in the past 24 hours. So in the past 24 hours, they've taken these areas here, as well as some of these other areas right along the edge here. And as we go down the map, we can see more of these down here. Russia has taken these areas and also some over here. Now, while we're looking in this area, what do we have down here? Zaporizhia, as in the same one that was listed right here, Zaporizhia 1, 3, 4, and 5. These are the ones being fueled by Camco uranium through Brookfield. Now, I should clearly state when the conflict happened, they shut down these reactors, so they're currently offline, which is bad for business for Brookfield. If we look at the map, you can see the reactors are south of this city here, to the left, right in the top corner here of this state. Now, if we look back at this interactive map, that area is right here. So right now, Russia has control over this nuclear facility. They've had control for the past couple of years. I'm sure Brookfield does not like this.
We know the tactics applied by Russia, applied by Putin, which aim at prolonging the process. We've seen those negotiations continuing, and there are suggestions on the American side, there are proposals, and there's just prolonging tactics on the side of Russia, which means that either Russia is not ready to have a serious conversation, or they don't want to have it.
I bet Mark Carney and Brookfield are not feeling too comfortable right now, because if Russia's able to completely capture this, they're not going to give this back. They're just going to use their own uranium to run the plant. And Brookfield will lose billions of dollars in investments here and future income. Now let's look at this a little closer. So all this blue stuff here is water. Now what we're looking at is right on the coast here. This is where the nuclear power plant is. Looking at this on Google Earth, we can see that the main city is up here, but down here is where that power plant is, right down here. So currently Russia is holding this, and you can only imagine that Carney and Brookfield are freaking out about this. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reactors that Brookfield is supposed to supply uranium to, make the money off of 50% of the electricity in Ukraine, and yet Russia's got control over this. Do you think Russia's going to give back these assets? No, of course not. This will just be a wartime conquer, and they're just going to take it for themselves. And we can see how close this is here to the front lines here where they're fighting, so I'm not surprised that Mark Carney's sending more of our equipment over there, more money, because, well, his money's on the line. His stocks, his shares, his Brookfield Global Transition Fund, it's all on the line because of this. All this financial aid, military aid, all this posturing is just for his own bank account. We've got a couple of newer articles here. This one, Westinghouse and Ukraine Nuclear Utility signed Memorandum of Understanding for SMR development. This is to certification for AP300 SMR, so small modular reactors, by 2027. There's a lot of business here in the works. We also got this one here. This is from July 2025, just last year, talking about the supply chains for the AP100 units, the VVER1000, the very units that Brookfield supplies in the south of Ukraine, and more talk of the SMR300 small modular reactors. They want to be expanding out and building out this business more. Now let's play devil's advocate and say Russia's not going to take over that power plant. So let the original owners, the Energer Megatron company, whatever, to keep control and just operate it and all that. They just want the original territorial lines, but they'll leave the companies to have their businesses. I don't think so. We've got this 6 days ago, February 19th, Russian regulator issues operating license for second, we're going to call it ZAPI unit. Roskonzor has issued a 10-year operating license for Unit 2 of ZAPI nuclear power plant, which has been under Russian military control since March of 2022. That's right, Brookfield and Mark Carney want the power plant back. It turns out old ZAPI here is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. Russia's state nuclear corporation Rosatom said that obtaining the license confirms that the power unit's equipment, safety systems, and personnel qualifications fully comply with strict requirements of the Russian nuclear energy standards and regulations. It added that Rosterkratsor's backing of the operational safety of the unit paves the way for the future development of nuclear power generation in the region. Application has been submitted to Roster's whatever for the operating license of Unit 6. Roston aims to submit similar applications by the end of 2026 for 3, 4, and 5. So the different reactors there. They're firing these back back up, and they're keeping them. This article here says the Zapi nuclear station is Europe's largest, one of the main sticking points for U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan to end the 4-year conflict between Russia and Ukraine. U.S. officials previously...
All right, I think we get the point with all of that. We have the State of the Union yesterday, last night, and Ilhan Omar, along with, can't think of the other person's name, Democrat, just fucking losing it the whole time. I'm surprised they didn't get kicked out.
Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And perhaps most importantly, I'm asking you to approve the Save America Act. To stop illegal aliens and others who are unpermitted persons from voting in our sacred American elections. That cheating is rampant in our elections. It's rampant. It's very simple. All voters must show voter ID. All voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. And no more crooked mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. None. And this should be an easy one. And by the way, it's polling at 89%, including Democrats. 89%. And even the new communist mayor of New York City, I think he's a nice guy, actually. Speak to him a lot. Bad policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard. Wants them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a Social Security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all.
That is wild.
In America, no, it's no good. No good. Both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens. And the reason they don't want to do it, why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. There's only one reason. They make up all excuses. They say it's racist. They come up with things. You almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat, they have cheated, and their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it. We have to stop it, John. And here is one more opportunity to show common sense in government. In the gallery tonight are Sage Blair and her mother, Michelle. In 2021, Sage was 14 when school officials in Virginia sought to socially transition her to a new gender, treating her as a boy and hiding it from her parents. Hard to believe, isn't it? Before long, a confused Sage ran away from home after she was found in a horrific situation in Maryland. A left-wing judge refused to return Sage to her parents because they did not immediately state that their daughter was their son. Sage was thrown into an all-boys state home and suffered terribly for a long time. But today, all of that is behind them because Sage is a proud and wonderful young woman with a full-ride scholarship to Liberty University. Sage and Michelle, please stand up. And thank you for your great bravery. And who can believe that we're even speaking about things like this? 15 years ago, if somebody was up here and said that, they'd say, what's wrong with him? But now we have to say it because it's going on all over numerous states without even telling the parents. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we're even talking about that? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy.
Let's fucking go.
Amazing.
There you have it. A little bit from last night. And then we have some more craziness coming out of Mexico. We have a lot of footage. A lot of footage, as Trump would say.
And this is the situation on the ground in Mexico following the shooting death of cartel leader El Mencho. Following the shooting over the weekend, chaos, as you see there, erupted in different parts of the country, with some tourists being told to shelter in place. Right now, I do want to check in on the ground with Blake Hayes, an American in Mexico from Portland, Maine, working with 93.1 The Coast, joining us live. And Blake, I know you were actually there on vacation as all of this was kind of unfolding. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, no problem. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, first off, I want to start at the beginning. Can you kind of explain for me how everything played out day of as all of this was going on?
Yeah, so here in Puerto Vallarta, it's known for being very safe. These kind of things have, from what I understand, never happened here, at least not in the last 20 or 30 years. And it was a Sunday morning. We were getting ready to figure out, do we want to go to the beach or the pool? And what time are we going to have a margarita? And my husband had gone to a gym about 10 minutes down the road from here. This is the hotel that we are staying in. And then I found, when I woke up, I had missed calls from him. He said, it's scary. The streets are shut down. We're trying to get off the street. And I was like, what? Like that? What is even happening? And he ended up getting pulled inside. He had seen a police vehicle go by and they were making announcements on like a megaphone in Spanish, which he didn't understand. And then locals were running inside and there was actually a car set fire just outside the gym where he was about to go. So luckily, he turned around and was pulled into a building by a local woman who was saying, "Hey, listen," sort of translating for him. And then he ended up running back to the hotel because he didn't want us to be separated. And I stayed on the phone with him that whole time. And he got back here, and we went up to this roof. This is like the rooftop area of the hotel, and you could see plumes of smoke just rising from different parts of the city. And we were like, what is going on? So of course we go on social media, and it seemed like this cartel boss had been killed or arrested, or there were sanctions, or the news was really unclear. And we kind of just holed up in the hotel. They sent us a text saying it's best to stay in the hotel right now. And then we found out about the shelter in place later as we all started to figure out what was happening.
How are things now? Has everything returned to normal? Are you still being told to stay inside the hotel? Break all that down for me.
Honestly, so yesterday would be Tuesday. This all happened on Sunday. Monday was still a shelter in place as they cleaned up debris, but there had really been no new fires. There may have been gunfights between the federal authorities and the cartel, but luckily no civilians were hurt from what we...
There may have. There was absolutely gunfights between the federal authorities and the cartels. Everything was everything is going on. It's a shit show. Like, you can't make it any clearer. Do not go there. Just don't do it.
We understand. It never really felt like we were targets or local Mexicans were targets. And then honestly, yesterday it was like back to business as usual. Everything was open. People were out on the streets. Shops were open. And people had been getting back to life here, whether they live here or are visiting.
Have you been able to process everything that's happened over the past several days? As you look at those images that are coming in, of course, it's different because you saw it in person. Have you had a chance to really process it just yet?
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of us, I mean, I will say on vacation, we didn't expect to have this like trauma bonding experience with some of our fellow travelers, which is kind of what happened in the hotel. We certainly made friends in ways we didn't expect to. And yeah, what's really interesting is the conversation here about the cartel with folks who live here, and kind of this idea that like, it sounds strange to say, but it's like the cartel and the government almost work together to keep people safe, which is an odd thing to say. But the thoughts about what the cartel means here are definitely different than what we think of it in America. And there's almost this strange trust of the cartel that it's about business and not about harming innocent people, which is very strange to say. And it also at first seemed really scary. And then we quickly realized that it was to make a point, to scare people, to get people off the streets. And that certainly worked. But aside from that, it hasn't felt scary since we got more information later in the day on Sunday.
Wanted to ask you one more question here before I let you go, because something you hear a lot from people is seeing the images on your screen, the different filmed images are one thing, but to actually see it in person is so different. So explain to me kind of the difference there from what you've seen as you were on the ground and then seeing kind of some of the images played back.
Yeah, that's been really interesting because being here, we have sort of a firsthand view. And what looks really scary and what was really scary at first turned out to be much more scary than it was actually threatening. And I think when you look at the images on social media or on the news, it looks like a war zone. It felt like that at the beginning, but then we quickly realized we weren't the targets. We are safe. And the people of Puerto Vallarta, of this area, the folks who work here, the locals have really been, I think, the important part of the story since we found out that, okay, we're not getting...
All right, so we got a little bit of that. I thought it was going to be something a little bit different, but I guess not. We have the Bloc Québécois currently taking questions from reporters. Most of it's going to be in French. Maybe we'll get a question in English. Maybe.
Une base partisane, parce que je suppose que ce que les gens au Québec et au Canada veulent, c'est qu'on règle ça. C'est énorme, là.
We're roughly 7 minutes out from the doors opening and question period, or at least statements by members beginning. So we got a little bit of time to kill.
Je vais laisser le premier ministre.
Worst part about this is it's not translated and there's no captions. So while I'm looking for something else, in the meantime, we'll listen to this.
Dans un ministère aussi compliqué, aussi important et autant au milieu de la tempête des controverses de façon continuelle. De toute évidence, mais nous, on le disait déjà, la ministre n'a pas la carrure nécessaire à ce moment-ci pour gérer ce ministère-là, mais le premier ministre en disposera.
Est-ce que vous pensez qu'elle doit rester en poste?
J'imagine que le premier ministre a suffisamment de jugement pour en disposer avec la conclusion qu'à peu près tout le monde tire présentement.
Pour revenir à Curran, vous parlez de l'envergure du problème. La ministre nous répète qu'il y a presque 8 millions de prestataires, 85 000 personnes qui auraient des problèmes. C'est à peu près 1 %. Est-ce que vraiment on peut parler de dérapage quand il y a des erreurs dans 1 % des cas?
Le jour où un gouvernement dit « c'est pas grave, ça touche juste 85 000 personnes », on a la démonstration que le gouvernement libéral de Mark Carney est totalement déconnecté de la réalité des citoyens. 85 000 personnes qui sont bénéficiaires d'un programme qui sert surtout les gens dont les moyens sont limités, qui ne reçoivent pas leur argent et qui n'ont pas d'alternative pour payer l'épicerie, le loyer, quoi que ce soit. Dire que c'est pas grave, que c'est une bonne nouvelle ou le minimiser en disant que c'est seulement 1 %, c'est un grave manque de considération pour les gens.
Le gouvernement dit qu'il n'y en a pas eu de dépassement de coûts dans le dossier, là, que c'était 6,6 milliards depuis le début, si on inclut toutes les phases, puis ça avait été mal compris. On comprend aussi mal compris par la vérificatrice générale du Canada. Dans son rapport, même, elle trouvait ça bizarre que ce soit juste 75 milliards.
C'était tellement mal compris que jusqu'à hier, même eux autres mêmes n'avaient pas compris. Hier, pouf, qu'est-ce qui sort du chapeau? Non, tout ça est normal. Tout va bien, ne vous inquiétez pas, tout va bien. Les erreurs, les chèques qui n'arrivent pas, tout ça est normal. La vérificatrice est dans le champ, les médias sont dans le champ, les oppositions sont dans le champ, et nous-mêmes, on était dans le champ parce que ça nous a pris 1 mois avant d'inventer cette parade que c'était un enjeu administratif. À chaque fois que quelqu'un répète ça au gouvernement, il doit y avoir des gens qui se disent « OK, ces gens-là ne nous respectent pas ».
Ça se peut-tu quand même? Ça se peut-tu qu'on ait mal compris?
Il faudrait qu'on soit un peu naïf pour avaler cette possibilité-là.
Pensez-vous qu'il aurait fallu trouver le moyen d'envoyer de l'essence à Cuba?
Écoutez, de façon générale, vous savez très bien que nous, on n'est pas les plus grands promoteurs des hydrocarbures. Mais dans le cas de Cuba, comme dans le cas des communautés dans le Grand Nord du Québec, l'électricité est encore produite essentiellement à partir de diesel. Ne pas envoyer de carburant, puis là, il y a un début d'ouverture du côté des Américains, là. Ne pas envoyer de carburant, d'où que ce soit qu'ils viennent, c'est condamner les gens à ne pas pouvoir se déplacer pour aller au travail, de ne pas avoir d'électricité à la maison. C'est condamner Cuba à ne plus avoir la principale source de devises étrangères, qui est tout l'appareil touristique de Cuba. Donc, ça fait partie de l'humanitaire dans le cadre de Cuba.
All right, I was hoping we would get an English...
PC crossed the floor.
Jesus, that scared the shit out of me. I was hoping we'd get a English question there, but we did not. That full volume startled me. Let's get onto this one here. We have people in the riding of Matt Genereux, and they took a billboard out. They, being Rebel News, took a billboard out, and there you go. Look at this. In the fullest.
Riverbend. It's -20. It is snowing, but the people of Riverbend deserve accountability. I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid for Rebel News, and I'm standing in the riding of Edmonton Riverbend, and I'm in front of our big, beautiful billboard truck that you helped me deploy thanks to your donations at firemat.com. You see, Matt Genereux was the formerly Conservative MP here, but last week he crossed the floor to the Liberal Party. But that's not where the story begins or ends. You see, back in November, rumors were out that the Liberals were putting pressure on Matt Genereux to cross the floor. And when a public pressure campaign began, Genereux backed off. He said, oh, no, I'm not crossing the floor to the Liberals. I don't know where you ever got that idea. In fact, I'm resigning in a long goodbye, and I need to spend more time with family. Now, 4 short months later, not even 4 short months, Genereux has crossed the floor to the Liberal Party. The rumors are that he has not set foot in the riding since November. We know for a fact he has not been in Ottawa voting with those Conservative caucus colleagues that he betrayed in his floor crossing. He's living out of the province. But now, Généreux has crossed the floor to the Liberals. He's decided he's had enough of his family and he needs a little more Mark Carney. And he pointed to Mark Carney's apparently compelling Davos speech as the reason why. Take a listen.
And quite honestly, it was the speech in Davos where you took everything head on. And I think for me, that's where a lot of the world changed. I think it opened a lot of eyes for Canadians, Albertans, Edmontonians.
Maybe Matt Généreux heard a different speech than I did because I found it neither compelling nor convincing as a reason to become a Liberal.
We know the old order is not coming back.
Now, I should point out that when Généreux decided to cross the floor, he flew back into the riding for apparently the first time in 4 months, didn't leave the airport, did a press conference with Mark Carney, didn't consult his constituents, and then jetted back to wherever he came from, British Columbia, I guess. Now, I believe the people of Riverbend deserve an MP that represents them. I believe, and I think like many of you, actually over 22,000 of you who signed our petition in just a few short days, that the matter should be put.
Look, all I'm going to say is, obviously, floor crossing of any kind, you're a scumbag and a weasel. But to all the Liberals that are so, like, happy about this and they're just, like, parading around, cheering on the fact that another floor crosser, a Conservative, crossed over to the Liberals, all I'm going to say is, if it were the other way around, you wouldn't be celebrating. You just wouldn't. They would be losing their goddamn minds if Liberal after Liberal crossed the floor to NDP, Conservative, Bloc Québécois, any other party that isn't theirs. They would not be ecstatic about it. I can tell you that much. It's just how it is. It's a very scummy thing to do. And I know for a fact that if Liberals were to leave that party and cross, they would be losing their minds. There would be meltdowns constantly. So the double standard with these people, it's unreal. They're just not willing to understand things here.
To the people of Edmonton Riverbend who have been voting Conservative since the creation of this riding back in 2015. They've been sending.
Oh my God, dude. The things they would go on about, it would be nonstop. It would be nonstop with them. For most people, like Conservatives, yeah, we're not happy about what happened. Most right-leaning voters aren't happy with this stuff. It's pretty obvious. Especially the constituents in the riding. You voted for a Conservative. You voted for a right-leaning person, and they just tucked their tail and went left. Okay? Just saying, if it were the other way around, they wouldn't be cheering it on. They wouldn't be happy. They would be losing their minds. They just would. That's a fact of the matter.
Every election, a message to...
And just wait for that in the future. If Liberals are to ever cross the floor, just keep that in mind. The way they acted when Conservatives crossed over, and the way they will definitely act if a Liberal leaves the party and crosses. Not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, because a lot of the, I would say, progressive Conservatives, the more center ones, for some reason, are going over to Mark Carney. I think it's a little bit of this right here, if you ask me. But I guess we'll see what happens. I feel like confidence in the Conservative side is dwindling a bit. Just being honest here. You know, they've had 3 floor crossers now. Every single one of their motions gets shut down. It's not looking too good for them. And I wish they were going in a different direction. You know, I wish they were running the country. I think most of us do. But it's just not the fact of the matter right now. And the mainstream media does a very good job at slandering and smearing the Conservative Party every step of the way. And a lot of Canadians just drink it up and believe everything they have to say. So, sadly, there's a lot of people in this country that just are fine with the Rosemary Bartons and the David Cochrans of the world telling them how to think and what to do.
To Ottawa, that this is a Conservative place. Apparently Matt Genero didn't get the message, but maybe he'll get the message here. Now, this isn't the only thing I have planned for Matt Genero. I've got more planned, and if you want to make a donation, you can go to firemat.com. Now, I'm going to follow the truck for a bit. I'm going to see if I could talk to some people on the street. It is -20. I might have a difficult time finding people walking around. I would not be walking around on the streets right now if it weren't my job. But I want to ask them what they think about what Matt Genero has done to them and their vote. And I also...
Okay, so statements by members has officially begun. I'm going to cut into that a bit with this video because right now it's just...
QIA plus people. The North End Women's Center is located right at ground zero of this crisis.
So there you go. We're just going to head back to this.
I want to make sure the truck gets seen by all the right people. So we're going to go to CTV. We're probably going to go to Global. I might take her past the Edmonton Journal, maybe CBC if we can deal with the traffic downtown with the truck. But we're going to get the message out. And we, more than anything, want the people of Riverbend to have their say. So let's hit the roads.
I just live about a block away and I voted for Matt and I want my vote back. I'm so pissed. This is my caregiver. We watch Rebel News all the time and we're like, yes, we pulled in here to get some groceries and I was so excited to see this. So yeah, this is awesome.
No, it's fucking ridiculous, right? Like, I mean, like, you know, like you vote for a certain belief and then like out of nowhere, why are you changing my belief? And then, you know, like, can I get my money back? Can I get my vote back?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so stupid that they allow this. Like,
I know,
like,
I still don't understand how
like,
it is
it's just
legal.
like saying, hey, like, you know what, like, I'm gonna lead you, but I changed my mind, I'm gonna move to Victoria and sell my house.
And
He
yeah,
just sold
I was
his house.
so disgusted when I heard that. He's been gone since November. He sold his house in my area and moved to Victoria. How is that even? Anyways, yeah, we're just disgusted. But very excited to see Rebel News here. And that truck, that was our dream. We're like, yes.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty cool to see it.
Do you love you guys?
Thank you so much. Do you have a message for Matt Genero?
Oh man, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, I mean, he's such a sellout. Was this all planned? Like, it makes me think that, okay, he came and talked to a bunch of us seniors.
You went to a senior place, so there's a senior
just
place not too far from
about
here?
a block and a half from here, and I talked to him afterwards, and you know, we believed in him, and it was all just, it's just a joke, and yeah, I'm really disgusted because what a waste. I hope that there will be other people who will speak up, because I've been reading different things online and people will say things, but I think a lot of people are scared to come out publicly and say too much, and I'm so past that now. I think I used to be. We sit there every morning when we're doing my stretches and exercises and we're like, yeah, you go Rebel. And so this was like a really exciting day for us to see this.
I'm glad.
So yeah, and it's nice to meet you.
It doesn't happen overnight. Like, my question is, like, how do you change your mind overnight, saying like, oh, I believe this, and then all of a sudden I believe this, when you've been like the MP for this area for like 3 consecutive terms already, right? Like, that doesn't happen overnight. Like,
No.
like, if that happens overnight, then definitely there's something wrong in your head.
Yeah.
Right?
He was going to cross original. Like, this is my theory. He was going to cross originally, saw the outlash with Chris D'Entremont, decided not to. Then eventually Michael Ma went over, and then he changed his mind. That's pretty much what I'm thinking it came down to. He was always going to do it, but he backed out with the whole, oh, I want to see my family. Oh, I'm just going to resign from politics, yada yada. Because look, man, come on now. Like, there had to be some sort of backroom dealing there. You can't be, well, you can be, obviously, but like, you are set in stone as a conservative for 3 entire terms. And then just like that, like they're saying, like a switch. It's kind of weird, man. I don't know.
You've got multiple personality.
Yeah. Well, and it's just so cowardly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As I was setting up a shot in the parking lot here. You want to say that again? Loser. And then, like the chivalrous hero that the man was, he then let his young daughter out of the vehicle to deal with the fallout. She called me the B word. So you want to say that again?
Are you recording me?
Yeah, I sure am.
Oh, okay. Just
No,
record me.
I am. What did you just call me?
I called you a bitch because you're insulting my father.
No, he drove by, said I suck, and then let you out and drove away.
Yeah. That's what he did. I don't see what the problem is. But you know what? Goodbye.
Yeah. And then he tried to explain his position that I guess Pierre Polyev was a floor crosser too, which absolutely was not the case. Anyway, check it out. Like, that's insane. You do a drive-by insult and then let your little girl deal with it. What is wrong with you?
She's an adult. PP crossed the floor.
No, he didn't. He didn't cross the floor.
Danielle Smith crossed the floor. Is that okay?
What the fuck? No, he didn't cross the floor. Holy Christ, dude. I can't. These people are delusional. They make up narratives in their head and they don't even know what's going on. This guy, I don't even know what theories he's going on about. I have no idea. This is crazy town.
Right, but she got reelected. She went to a by-election. Yeah, and then she went to a by-election, right? So after that run-in with the deranged elbows up boomer, and since I'm working alone outside of the driver who's in the truck and is no real help to me because he's doing his own job, we thought we'd take the truck on the road. We took the truck through the streets of Edmonton for several hours. We actually took the truck to CTV's offices. We took the truck to the Edmonton Journal / Edmonton News offices. We took it to the CBC offices and then to the Global News offices. I should note an interesting tidbit when we were at the CBC offices. As I was walking back to my vehicle, I saw an active drug overdose. Don't worry, the police were on scene. But it was a perfect synopsis of what the CBC chooses to ignore and what the voters of Matt Genereux's constituency voted for far less of. They voted for safer streets and compassionate care for people struggling with opioid poisons. We think it is newsworthy that over 22,000 people signed a petition and also donated to put this truck on the road. And I think you believe that too. If you'd like to continue to sign that petition or to donate to my next...
Okay, so statements by members currently underway. Let's get that going.
Member for Calgary Knowles Hill.
Eliana McCannalani, my granddaughter. You will be born in a few short months into a world where they've mechanized human thought. Every day now I wonder about the unique challenges you will experience because of it, what the societal impact will be, whether the value of the data that you produce comes to outweigh the value of your labor. The insecurity of knowing thinking machines could bring automated war. The impact of the consolidation of wealth and power into the hands of the few who own them. And the blurring of what it means to be a human if humanity comes to rely on machines to reason for us. I stand here today to warn my colleagues in this place that these are issues we cannot afford to ignore, and pray that we will find a path for your generation that brings you peace, prosperity, and justice. May you forgive us if we don't.
The Honourable Member for Spadina Harbourfront.
Mr. Speaker, as we welcome the Lunar New Year, I send my warmest greetings to the Vietnamese Canadian community and to everyone celebrating across my riding of Spadina Harbourfront. The Year of the Horse calls us forward with energy, renewal, and perseverance.
Other federal housing body, but we already have Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, Infrastructure Canada, the Department of Finance Canada, and the Canada Lands Company, all working on housing, land, and financing. So, if all these agencies already exist, what exactly will this new body do that they cannot? Will it build homes faster? Will it cut permits? Will it remove taxes like the GST on new homes? No, it will simply add more overhead and administrative delay. Housing affordability will not improve by multiplying paperwork. It's time for this Liberal government to cut red tape, get out of the way, and let builders build.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Member for Drummond. Mr. Speaker, another
monumental actor has left us. Raymond Bouchard was an extraordinary star in Quebec's cultural universe, and we will miss his voice, his gift of gab, and his generosity in acting and speaking more than words can express. Mr. Speaker, the loss of these extraordinary artists cannot be undone, and each of these deaths erases a little bit of a wonderful period in Quebec's social and cultural history. It is sad. Raymond Bouchard gave us unique characters such as Mayor Le Sage in La Grande Séduction and Léo in La Florida. I also think of his portrayal of Jacques Parizeau in the series On l'Évêque, or his role as Paul Vézina in Scoop. Raymond Bouchard was proud to belong and to be one of his people, a sovereigntist, certainly, but perhaps above all else, a great ambassador and promoter of the Quebec culture, which he cherished. To his family, loved ones, and friends, to those who admired him, allow me to offer my sincere condolences on behalf of the Bloc Québécois. Raymond, thank you for everything.
The honourable member for Surrey Newton.
Mr. Speaker, as we celebrate Black History Month, I rise to recognize the important contributions of Black Canadians and work of Black Business Association of British Columbia. Surrey is home to the largest Black population in our province. Black entrepreneurs are creating jobs, driving innovation, and strengthening our economy, even as many face systemic barriers. Led by co-founders Nerissa Alan and Clavia Elaine, the Black Business Association of BC is addressing these challenges through programs that support market access, regulatory compliance, and international trade. They help businesses grow and compete globally. By investing in equity and inclusion, we invest in Canada's future and build a stronger, more inclusive Canada. Today is Pink Shirt Day. Let's stand against bullying and stand together in kindness.
The honourable member for Terra Nova, the Peninsula.
Mr. Speaker, just this morning, I had a phone call from a friend of mine. She's a teacher, a government worker, but life is so unaffordable that her internet is about to be cut tomorrow because she can't keep up with this liberal inflation. And she's not the only one. According to an RBC poll, 64% of millennials are worried about their financial future under this Prime Minister. Many Canadians are bankrolling their debt into mortgages. Mortgage debt has now reached $2.6 trillion. But unfortunately, millennials can't do this because they can't afford a home. Nearly 60% of millennials don't even have enough money at the end of the month to pay their bills, let alone begin saving for a home. Conservatives will continue to fight for affordable Canada, a Canadian economy that creates powerful paychecks and lowers inflation so that young people across our country can save for a home and save for a future.
The honourable member for Halifax.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assalamu alaikum. Across the country, Muslim communities are celebrating Ramadan, a holy month of fasting, prayer, and reflection.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't care. All right. We have some crazy stuff going on here. We have a FBI raid. Check this out.
Have several other breaking news stories that we've been bringing you at this hour. Let's take you back out to Los Angeles here as you are taking a live look from our Fox chopper as we brought you a short time ago this news that federal authorities are descending upon multiple Los Angeles locations this morning. As you can see there, executing search warrants at both the primary administrative offices of the nation's second largest school district and the private residence of its top official, Los Angeles Unified School District Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. What we do know right now, the FBI and Department of Justice both confirming that agents are serving court-authorized warrants at Carvalho's office at LAUSD headquarters in downtown Los Angeles and his home there in San Pedro. So you are taking that live look there outside the home. Skyfox over that home right now where multiple FBI agents are seen going in and out of this residence carrying boxes of unspecified items. At one point, a neighbor with luggage in tow was escorted down the sidewalk by authorities. I did want to share with you just some of the coverage from our Fox 11 LA team just moments ago.
Standing by outside Alberto Carvalho's home. Let's go to Mario right now. Mario, tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, Roxy and Sandra, we've been watching FBI agents coming in and out of the home here in San Pedro, carrying out, you may have seen it earlier, cardboard boxes. We saw one FBI agent rolling out a suitcase, luggage is what it looked like, another carrying a backpack. So we're not sure what evidence is being collected here from this home, but we can tell you that the warrant was confirmed by federal officials. No affidavit details have been released because they have been sealed by the court, and the FBI said they have no further comment at this time. So photographer Howard Wells is taking you just down the sidewalk here as we wait for more activity, and you can see those federal agents. Now, according to sources, the warrant was executed this morning on both this residential address here on South Parker Street in San Pedro, as well as an office location where Gigi was at just a short time ago, LAUSD headquarters on South Beaudry Avenue downtown. At this point, those locations have been confirmed by federal officials as the sites where warrants have been served, but details about any arrest charges or investigations haven't been confirmed. The FBI telling us they are serving a court-authorized warrant here, but because, again, the affidavit is sealed, they can't discuss any details of the investigation. And I want to break down, as we're watching more of these FBI agents coming out of Carvalho's home here in San Pedro, what we know about Carvalho. We can tell you that he is the current superintendent of LA Unified School District, the second largest public school system in the U.S., serving more than 500,000 students across the county. And he was unanimously selected by the LAUSD Board of Education back in February of 2022, and that followed a national search. Now, we can tell you before coming here to Los Angeles, he led Miami-Dade County Public Schools, one of the largest school systems in America, for 14 years, earning multiple National Education Leadership Awards. And again, we have no confirmed information at this time that he's been charged with any crime. We've not received official statements from his office or the LAUSD board, and we're still looking for comment from the FBI Los Angeles field office, LAUSD, and Carvalho's representatives. So not a lot of information, but again, this is the scene unfolding outside his San Pedro home. So we've counted at least half a dozen FBI agents, again, going in and out of this location here, coming out with
That's wild. He is like the leader of a lot of shit going on there for a students board in California. I'm actually kind of curious what's going to come from that, especially if they have that many FBI agents coming in and out. They're raiding his home. Well, that's like big time stuff right there. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Might not ever get any information on it.
Immediate confidential support 24 hours a day. And while these supports are essential, each of us can help foster a culture where seeking help is encouraged, stigma is reduced, and kindness lead the way. Simple acts of compassion help build safer, more inclusive communities across Canada. Mr. Speaker, everyone deserves to feel valued and supported and to know they have a safe space among communities, because compassion, kindness is always stronger than hate, Mr. Speaker.
Oral questions.
No Pierre, no Mark Carney.
For Calgary Nose Hill.
Prime Minister said, we have the immigration system under control, and his immigration minister said, my job is easy. At the end of this year, there will be nearly 3 million people in Canada on expired or expiring visas, and last year the Liberals only managed to remove 22,000 of them. And the Liberals are still issuing hundreds of thousands of new temporary work permits this year. If her job is so easy, what's the minister's plan to get nearly 3 million people to leave?
Great question. The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you very much. The job that I have is never easy. It is one of the toughest jobs in government, and the reason is many Canadians and many people are looking at our government to control immigration and to keep it sustainable. With regards to the temporary, we have targets, we have ranges for temporary residents. Those that are on temporary status have the opportunity to extend. They also have the opportunity to use some of our permanent pathways. Otherwise, they are expected to leave.
Good job. The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The immigration minister Minister has been in her job for a year now, and she was appointed to get since she's appointed, we've been getting disgusting stories every other week about non-citizens convicted of serious crime getting leniency in order to avoid deportation. She could have been lobbying her cabinet colleagues to make sure that laws are changed and that victims get the justice that they deserve, but she's done nothing. If the Prime Minister wants to move at a scale and speed not seen in generations, why doesn't he just fire his failed minister now?
The Honourable Minister.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. On my record and work on immigration, the record speaks for itself.
Yes.
We're taking back control on the immigration system. We're returning immigration to sustainable levels. Our asylum levels are down by a third. The number of international students is down by a third. The no temporary foreign workers are down by a half. We have exceeded our Francophone immigration targets. We are bringing global talents. From July to October 2025, the population of Canada decreased slightly. We are on track and we've met all our targets.
Good. The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Mr. Speaker, her record sure does speak for itself. In fact, 10 Liberal members of Parliament had comments on her record today. They were quoted in a CBC article saying what millions of Canadians already know, that the Prime Minister's immigration minister isn't getting her jobs done. She won't take basic meetings, processing times haven't been fixed, and the asylum backlog has ballooned to 300,000 people under her watch. I've said it before, I'll say it again. She is a bad minister. If the Liberal caucus doesn't even think she should have her job, why is the Prime Minister still defending her?
Honourable Minister.
We are building an immigration system that keeps Canada strong. That is our mission. That is our mandate. That is what Canadians elected us to do.
Yes.
That is what we will continue to do. In June, we introduced legislation C2 to protect the asylum system against sudden increases in claims. The Conservatives opposed it. In October, we brought forward new legislation C12 that will protect our borders and strengthen the immigration system.
That's right.
The Conservatives have delayed it at every stage.
right.
We're building an immigration system that is sustainable and that will keep Canada strong.
That's right. Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Well, Mr. Speaker, today the CBC reported what we all see every day, that the immigration minister's own Liberal colleagues cringe awkwardly as she fumbles her way through serious issues. I've had the misfortune of sitting across from her in Immigration Committee where she can't answer basic questions about bills that she is presented to Parliament. While her infamous salad quote was admittedly crazy, the immigration portfolio is no laughing matter. Under a Conservative government, Canada's immigration system functioned well. It was fair and orderly, but not with this minister. Why does she still have her job?
I ask that question every day.
Monsieur le Président, en matière de...
Mr. Speaker, on immigration, this government has reduced asylum claims by a third. The number of international students in Canada has gone down by a third. From July to October 2025, the population of Canada slightly decreased after several years. We have increased the percentage
And we were back at the ocean.
of the economy
What is going on, man?
64% in order to attract world-class talent. We are building a world-class immigration system. The Honourable Member for Charles-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister stated that the immigration system is under control, but the Liberals have actually broken the system. The facts are that 86% of fake asylum seekers are still in Canada. Thousands are still wanted by the CBSA, and appropriate security checks are not taking place. And these individuals are placing pressure on our schools and healthcare system in Quebec. Will the Prime Minister finally fire this minister, the Honourable Government House Leader? Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are proud to serve side by side with this immigration minister. We are proud of our immigration system. We are very proud to have the first Lebanese woman in this position with a remarkable roadmap.
Based on how the Liberal Party reacts every time she finishes speaking, they're not happy about it at all. And you could see it. Now they're saying that they're united and they love her because they have to. The Conservatives know she is the weakest MP on the entire team. And they're going to hammer it home on the biggest issue as well, at least one of them.
Mr. Speaker, this is not a personal matter. This is a professional matter. It is clear that this minister does not understand her files. 10 of her colleagues said on Radio-Canada that the minister is not familiar with her files and is incompetent. We need a minister who understands what's happening in Canada and can manage the immigration system. Will the Prime Minister finally fire his minister, the Honourable Government House Leader? Mr. Speaker, you know who can't answer questions about immigration? People on the Conservative side who have no immigration policy. And they took a week to think about it and decided to come back to this House and punch down and try to bully the most vulnerable people, refugee seekers. For example, they're trying to kick out wounded children from the Ukraine war. They don't want kids like that to get health care. It is the Conservatives who don't have an immigration policy. On this side of the House, we are proud of our minister and our record. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles.
Saint-Jean, je m'excuse.
I'm sorry, the Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Currem software fiasco with its $5 billion cost overrun is the last straw for Quebec, and the National Assembly of Quebec has just adopted a unanimous motion to state that federal IT projects and their cost overruns represent complete wastage on Quebec taxes. All Quebec elected officials have asked the federal government to create an arm's-length inquiry on federal IT contracts. When will we finally see this inquiry? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, modernizing the government is something we are currently working on, and it is already showing results. When it comes to old age security benefits, currently we are servicing 7 million Canadians with a new modernized system that has replaced a system that was really outdated.
Oh yeah, they're not gonna let this one go. They won't forget about that one.
All Government of Canada benefits.
It's the only thing the bloc has.
The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, the National Assembly unanimously pointed out that the Phoenix software went from an initial budget of $309 million to $5.5 billion, while ArriveCAN went from $80,000 to $60 million. And now, Currem has gone from $1.75 billion to $6.6 billion. And yet the Liberals continue to deny that the Currem budget has ended up going over projections, even though the Auditor General already had pointed that out in 2023. Once again, when will there be a public inquiry? The Honourable Minister of Employment.
You say things, it doesn't make it true. In fact, the Currem software program is actually under...
Couldn't hear, sorry. Couldn't hear. We'll let the Honourable Minister... We'll let the Honourable Minister answer the question. The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families may continue.
Mr. Speaker, over and over and over we hear this number that's patently wrong. And I have no other way to say it, Mr. Speaker. This is the largest transformation of the way we deliver benefits in the history of this country. We are moving 3 important benefit programs from paper-based, old-school technology to full modernization where people will be able to apply and are right now able to apply online. Mr. Speaker, this is...
The Honourable Member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Well, I wouldn't attack the credibility of the Auditor General if I were the Minister, Mr. Speaker. These Liberals seem to think this is just a joke. They're just ignoring the problem, and they keep on spending taxpayer money The National Assembly has reminded us that over 3 failed IT projects, Ottawa has wasted more than $10 billion. That's 5 times more than it would take the government of Quebec to repair 227 hospital buildings. But there's no accountability in Ottawa. The Liberals keep saying that there haven't been any cost overruns. When will we have a public inquiry? The Honourable Minister.
As I've said, 7.7 million seniors have been transitioned to this new software. There are still some seniors who have applied for their benefits that are waiting. That number is dropping, Mr. Speaker, every week, every month, as we anticipate will continue to do. And Mr. Speaker, our officials are working very hard night and day to make sure that all cases are resolved. If the member opposite has a person in his riding who needs urgent attention, I suggest he share that name with me or have them call Service Canada. We haven't received any names yet from that member.
Parliament.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Liberal immigration minister is out of her depth, and the numbers prove it. 86% of rejected asylum seekers remain in Canada. 25,000 people were admitted without a proper security screening, and nearly 3 million temporary visa holders are nearing expiry with no clear plan in place. And yesterday, the Prime Minister claimed that the system is, quote, under control. But there are no real controls left. The Liberals dismantled them, and the minister has shown no ability to restore order. So with results like these, why is she still in her job?
Yep. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I will park some of the factual inaccuracies that were included in the member's question, but let me just take a moment to say that I have been proud to work alongside my colleague for Nova Scotia, not just in her current capacity as Minister of Immigration for Canada, but previously when she served as the Immigration Minister in my home province of Nova Scotia. She was uniquely responsible for bringing the healthcare workers that provide care to my neighbours. She was uniquely responsible in helping resettle refugees from Syria when the federal Conservatives wouldn't lift a finger. She is working on a program that may be a difficult problem to solve, but she is restoring integrity to the immigration system, and the personal attacks are cruel, inappropriate, and beneath this House.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
It is that minister who left the immigration minister with the mess that she has to clean up. And he knows that even Liberal MPs who have been passed over for a decade can see that she's out of her depth because of the mess that he left. These are direct quotes from them. She has no idea how to respond. She doesn't make sense. She puts her foot in her mouth. At what point will the Prime Minister acknowledge that this file requires real leadership and a serious course correction without the two of them?
Boom! Oh my God, dude.
The Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture.
Lanceman just fucking put him to bed.
Pitting Canadians against asylum seekers. Some of them helped us during COVID. Deliberately confusing fraudulent claimants against failed asylum claimants. This isn't a dog whistle, it's a foghorn. And I know it's Lent, so I do implore them to show a little grace. So instead of shedding MPs for Lent, Mr. Speaker, which we appreciate, maybe they need to shed this line of questioning.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
They've just put up a third failed immigration minister.
She's back for more.
This is actually a really serious issue. And they can talk down members of this House. They can call them bad people all they want. But Canada's immigration consensus is crumbling. Stakeholders aren't getting their calls returned. Controls are gone, putting pressure on housing, on healthcare, and on jobs. And the minister is MIA throughout all of it. The House deserves a straight answer. When is she getting fired?
The Honourable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, let's assume for a second that the Conservatives actually want to help the situation. Perhaps the member opposite can turn to her right, talk to the leader of the opposition who's changed so many ridings, he's Parliament's own temporary foreign worker, and ask him to stop going around the country pandering to communities, promising them not to be deported, and promising visas for everyone. That might help, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, they're putting up all the failed previous immigration ministers to speak for her. Mr. Speaker, the Liberal Prime Minister has created a sentencing discount system.
Oh boy, Scheer. I get what Scheer's trying to do there, but they could shut him down so quickly because he failed to become Prime Minister, so... yeah, that's an easy shutdown right there.
Liberal government has created a sentencing discount system for foreign criminals. The Prime Minister claims that they've got the system under control. Well, let's look at the case of Rajbir Singh. This criminal sexually assaulted a young woman and received a conditional discharge so he would not have a criminal conviction registered against him so he could stay in the country. Under this Liberal PM sentencing discount policy, not only are dangerous criminals allowed to stay in the country, they get released early. When will this Prime Minister fire his immigration minister, or does he think that she's got it all under control?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the assertion of the member in the opposition party is...
And then they put up the second worst minister out of the new ones.
Facing criminal charges and conviction, they're deemed to be inadmissible in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The Canada Border Service agencies take these very seriously, and they have admissible individuals removed.
Gary the liar.
Removed over 22,000 individuals from Canada. But let me be very clear. The issue of lawful access is a tool that law enforcement have been asking for. The party opposite has absolutely failed in supporting those policies so that we can have a safer country, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
If they had confidence in the immigration minister, then she would be answering these questions herself, Mr. Speaker. Let's take a look at another case. Joyson Lewis assaulted his girlfriend, grabbed her, tearing her shirt in the process, and threw her to the ground when he hit her again. The judge in the case sentenced this foreign criminal to 9 months of probation, specifically so that the conviction would not be entered into the record so he could stay in Canada. Why is this Liberal government doubling down on a policy that gives sentencing discounts to foreign criminals, and when will this Prime Minister fire this minister?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is a rule of law country, one that respects the rule of law. Nobody is above the law, Mr. Speaker. And the discounts that this individual is talking about is absolutely false. What I will say is that the Canada Border Service agencies removes those who are inadmissible to Canada, those with criminal penalties. But let me also be very clear, Mr. Speaker. The party opposite absolutely refuses to move on lawful access, a tool that law enforcement has been asking for from coast to coast to coast. This is the record that party has in terms of defending the rights of Canadians and keeping Canada safer, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, by the end of this year, 3 million temporary residents will have had their visas expire, and the government has no enforcement plan to ensure that they leave. Last year alone, 1.5 million permits expired, and the Liberals just simply assumed that they would magically comply. The system is out of control. Housing is strained, youth unemployment is rising, our healthcare system is broken. Canadians are clearly paying the price. So when will the Prime Minister take responsibility for this failure and fire his immigration?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we have been getting this immigration system under control. We've just seen that Bill C-12 is about to pass from the Senate. This will not allow people to abuse our asylum system. And Mr. Speaker, if they cared so much about crime, they would have passed C-14 a long time ago. We could have had that bill passed back in Christmas time, Mr. Speaker. It's 80 different changes of the Criminal Code of Canada. We're strengthening our criminal code more than we have seen in generations, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, competence is not talking points, it's measured by results. 33,000 non-citizens listed as wanted by the CBSA is not competent. When 86% of rejected asylum claimants remain in Canada, that's not compassion, that's a system that is not being enforced. The minister has lost control of the file, the confidence of stakeholders, and now members of their own caucus are questioning her ability, and Canadians are paying the price. So once again, will the Prime Minister take responsibility for this failure and fire his immigration minister?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, if the Conservatives really cared about these issues, they would support us in our responsible legislation that we're putting forward. We're bringing down asylum numbers, Mr. Speaker, in this country, and we're reducing fraud in our system with the leadership of the Immigration Minister, Mr. Speaker. If the Conservatives cared, they would stop their divisive politics and their hate tactics, and they would join us in making sure that legislation passes swiftly through this House, and they would stop the obstruction.
Their division